It's Friday, March 10th, 2023. Welcome to episode 44 of the Alameda Postcast, an audio service of the Alameda Post. I'm your host, Scott Peeler. In this edition of the Postcast, the Pineapple Express is back and causing disruptions around the area. The City Council discusses the vision for the reuse area on Alameda Point. The Oakland City Council looks to ban the practice of living aboard boats anchored in the estuary. High school theater season is in full swing. The Post events calendar is officially recognized as Alameda's go-to source. Restaurant Week winds down, and the library invites you to play with your food. These stories and more on this episode of the Alameda Postcast. Our top story, the term atmospheric river, is back in the news. The rain began Thursday afternoon and is expected to continue throughout the weekend and into early next week. Here on Alameda, we are under a flood watch until Sunday morning and a wind advisory until Friday afternoon. This type of storm, commonly known as the Pineapple Express, since the system reaches all the way across the Pacific to Hawaii. The expected temperatures over the next few days are higher than we experienced in early January, but that's actually a case of good news, bad news. In some mountain areas, rain may melt the near-record snowpack, resulting in flooding conditions. While Governor Newsom has declared a state of emergency in 34 California counties, Alameda County is not one of them. Still, look for soaking rains and some localized flooding as the Pineapple Express pays its latest visit. Here's a phone number to keep handy, 510-337-8340. That's the Alameda Police non-emergency line, useful reporting flooding, traffic light outages, and downed trees. For a true emergency, such as a downed power line, use 911. The city has again made sandbags available behind City Hall West. For a guide to emergency numbers and notifications, see alamedapost.com/news. The storm system has already forced the cancellation of one previously postponed event. The Alameda Point Antiques Fair was to be held Sunday after being postponed last week. Event organizers have canceled for March. Look for the fair to return Sunday, April 2nd. Also canceled the Friday performance of Bohème Out of the Box by the San Francisco Opera at the Radium Runway. We'll be keeping an eye on events and cancellations. As we find out, we'll update our events calendar and share details through our social media channels. This Tuesday, the City Council returned to in-person meeting, and the subject of the reuse area on Alameda Point was on the agenda. The reuse area is a nationally registered historic district bordered by Spirits Alley, Seaplane Lagoon, Pan Am Way, and Main Street, and part of the former Naval Air Station. Its historic designation restricts building demolition and new development. The city has three goals for the area: develop new backbone infrastructure, generate sufficient lease revenue to cover operating expenses of the existing infrastructure, and deliver benefits to Alameda, including transportation facilities, parks, jobs, housing for varying income levels, and tax base growth. City staff proposed a mixed portfolio phasing strategy, which involves selectively selling buildings to fund the construction of backbone infrastructure while maintaining a portfolio of buildings to lease. Lease revenue would fund the maintenance of existing infrastructure. Selective selling allows flexibility to take advantage of unexpected opportunities. After presentation, discussion was generally in favor of the plan, with Councilmember Malia Vela expressing her concern about the unintended consequences of restrictive covenants, such as for historic preservation, saying they might make it challenging to meet modern needs. City Manager Jennifer Ott said she would take the Council's input as a guide for moving forward and return with specifics for the Council to consider at future meetings. In other business, the Council voted to continue limiting charges imposed by third-party food delivery services such as Grubhub and DoorDash. The city began limiting charges during the pandemic to support struggling restaurants. These limits include fees charged by third-party services remaining capped at 15% of order total. Restaurants may elect to pay extra for different tiers of service. Limit the addition of new customer fees, but existing fees may increase at the rate of inflation. These limits will be extended until May of 2025. In earlier meetings between Council, restaurateurs, and the delivery services, multiple restaurateurs expressed their belief that these limits enabled their businesses to survive pandemic. A continuation of the limits was welcomed as in-person dining has yet to return to pre-pandemic levels. For a recap of Tuesday's meeting, look for Karen Jensen's article at alamedapost.com/news. Back on episode 41, we cover the problem of improperly secured and abandoned boats in the estuary. Those vessels include anchored-out vessels, which are boats used as living spaces. On Tuesday, the Oakland City Council took a step toward addressing the ongoing issue, voting unanimously to approve the Nuisance Vessel Ordinance. Oakland has incentive to clean up the problem. The city faces a budget shortfall, and Bay Conservation and Development Commission could fine Oakland up to $6,000 a day for violations. The commission considers the boats to be unpermitted fill, essentially garbage dumped into the water. The practical upshot of the ordinance would be to make it illegal to live aboard boats anchored in the estuary. These vessels have presented navigation hazards as they can be poorly secured and interfere with other estuary traffic such as rowers who routinely row at dawn or dusk in dark conditions. While the council did vote unanimously, there was opposition. Delphine Brody, an advocate for homeless people, urged council members to vote no on the ordinance. She argued that it is, quote, yet another form of the criminalization and state violence against unhoused people that has been the focal point of Oakland's policy around homelessness for a very long time, end quote. The council must vote on the ordinance a second time and is expected to take up the matter again on March 21st. If passed, a violation of the ordinance would be considered a misdemeanor. Details at alamedapost.com/news. For the past couple of weeks, I've been telling you about the shows being presented by our local high schools. As is tradition, spring means musicals, and after some topsy-turvy years due to COVID, things are starting to look a little more normal. St. Joseph's has finished their run of the SpongeBob musical. Alameda High School heading into production week for the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee, which hits the stage March 16th for 6 performances. And starting March 24th, the Encinal Jets Theater program presents The Lightning Thief, the Percy Jackson musical. Yes, that's right. The young adult fantasy book series has spawned not only a movie, but a stage musical as well. The show came to life off-Broadway in 2017 and enjoyed a successful national tour prior to pandemic. Our own Gene Kahane stopped by rehearsals at his old Encinal stomping grounds and was impressed with what he saw. Like Gene, I too am a former theater teacher, and I agree wholeheartedly with the idea that what's going on in high school stages these days is truly impressive. If you haven't taken in a high school production lately, these are truly some of the best bang-for-your-buck shows going. Take a look at Gene's preview for Encinal's Percy Jackson, as well as Alameda's Putnam County, at alamedapost.com/features. Here at the Post, we take pride in being your go-to source for island events. Those efforts have been recognized by the city and by our 3 island business associations, and we are pleased to announce that our calendar is now the centralized resource for all things Alameda. The calendar is available for all businesses and organizations to post Alameda events. If there's an event going on anywhere in Alameda, this is the place to find it. The online event calendar at alamedapost.com is a free resource that provides an open platform for businesses and organizations to showcase events and for the community to easily see what's happening on one centralized calendar. Kathy Weber, Executive Director of Downtown Alameda, had this to say, quote, a centralized comprehensive event calendar is a welcome addition. This calendar will be a benefit to local event organizers and a valuable community resource. You can find events on our events page, the Post front page, as well as the Digifly digital billboards around the city. Best of all, the calendar is self-serve, open to all businesses and organizations. We'll be holding Zoom training sessions later in March. For details on how you can take advantage of this powerful resource, which reaches thousands of people daily, visit alamedapost.com/news. Restaurant Week runs through Sunday, March 12th. Make sure you save your receipts for participating restaurants. You'll have a chance to win prizes. Everyone who enters will receive an Alameda keychain. The last few years have been a challenge to the food service industry. Now's your chance to say thank you, maybe try something new. There are some great fixed price options that allow you to sample some items you may have overlooked. As you share your restaurant explorations, use the hashtag ARW2023. Details and links at alamedapost.com/features. With rainy days ahead, why not flex your creative muscles as the Alameda Free Library is once again hosting its annual Peeps Diorama Contest. The rules are simple. Create a diorama using recycled materials, magazines, paint, pipe cleaners, other craft supplies. The entry base should be no larger than a shoebox and must be freestanding. Make sure to include at least one peep in your design. No other food or candy is allowed in the diorama. Entries family-friendly, constructed in 2023. For details on the contest, visit alamedapost.com/features. As always, keep an eye on alamedapost.com/events. More than ever, it's your guide to what's happening all around our island city. As I noted earlier, cancellation of Friday's Boheme Out of the Box and Sunday's Antiques Fair. Outdoor events this weekend definitely in flux. Check back frequently for the latest. Thank you for supporting local news for Alameda. See all the benefits of membership at alamedapost.com/memberships. Remember, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Mastodon. Find the Postcast wherever you get your podcasts, or simply tell your smart device to play the Alameda Postcast podcast. I'm Scott Peeler. I'll be back next Friday with episode 45 of the Alameda Postcast.